Hello, this is Jon Speelman with my video version of my latest column, number 167, for April the 3rd, I believe it is, 2022. And I've called it Defense and the Unforeseeability of Voluntarily Rerouting, which is a silly title. My hook for this, it's not, I'm just going to check that we are broadcasting, because otherwise there's no point. My hook was that in 1978, when we went to the World Under-26 Championship in Mexico City, we got delayed at the airport. I've said in more detail in the article. And I hustled Jonathan Mestel away from his girlfriend because I thought we were going to miss the plane. Anna O'Donovan, was his then girlfriend, now it's been his wife for many years. Not very popularly, I think. And then we waited 8 hours or something in a departure lounge. Then I was deputed to go and get us transferred. I stupidly showed the official, the woman, an itinerary rather than our tickets. We ended up going to Chicago rather than Mexico because she thought we were going to the USA, I think. And eventually we got to Mexico and we won it. And then I mentioned that the year before, when John Nunn was captain, we'd arrived in Mexico again after some delay, been shown to our glorious accommodation, which is a 64-bed dormitory for the children. How nice of them. We had complained. John says he walked through past men with machine guns to see some minister with other people, and then they reaccommodated us, not in some slightly shabby hotel or something, but in the Ritz. Obviously you're either there, or you were at that time in Mexico City. Anyway, so I talked about involuntary rerouting and voluntary rerouting and said it was difficult if you knew a piece was going to a specific square. It was hard to imagine it might go to a different one. And I gave a couple of examples from Amin Tabatabaei in the Berlin FIDE World Cup. And the first one was this one. So I haven't analysed this game particularly carefully. It's some sort of thing a bit like a Nimzo. I don't know if A4 was a new move. What I will show in a moment is ChessSpace's latest glorious glitch. Okay, this is all a bit difficult for white because the king is not great, and eventually what happened in this game, I think white was okay actually. Probably should have gone king f1 is what the engine said, but he played this excellent move, and now white gets into trouble. White's really being attacked very vigorously, and they played to an ending which should have been winning. And again, I'm not taking too much notice of this. I don't know, there probably were cleaner wins or something. But eventually, the thing in this position is that because the bishop controls the diagonal, white's a-pawn isn't a big deal. If you took the bishop and knight off the board, it would just be completely drawn, or might even be good for white. It shouldn't be, I don't think. But anyway, black would have no winning chances. But because he can give up the bishop for the pawn, or indeed he can put both pieces in the diagonal and even stop the pawn from queening, this should probably be, well, it should be winning. Why did he do that? I suppose because otherwise there's queen d2 check, isn't there? Yeah. So this will happen. Queen e4 is probably a better move actually, just putting the queen right in the middle of the board. Pawn equals queen then isn't a big problem, I don't think. Or at least I'm assuming it isn't. I mean, again, it's always a little bit. I mean, you wonder if you can go pawn equals queen, queen takes pawn with check, king h6, knight e6 or something. But presumably it doesn't really work. Well, we know it doesn't. I mean, the engines are telling us that, and we sort of know as well. What happened was he went pawn to the 7th here, and Tabatabaei went pawn equals queen, and you played bishop takes queen. So looking at queen takes f7 check, and believing rightly as it happens that he would be able to get out of the checks. But what happened was that he played queen h4 check, which the guy just hadn't thought of. You know, it was a long game, very long, hard game, and there were some more checks, and eventually went to g7, the knight e6 check happens. And as long as you don't allow the king to get to f7, so queen d8 would lose to king f7. And we'll just put that in, queen d8 check, question mark, king f7. I'm just going to show you, I think that by the time you read this, ChessBase will have corrected this, but if I turn on an engine, you can see my notation disappears, which is incredibly irritating, and I've been complaining about it in the strongest possible terms. But I believe there's an update when the address is corrected. Anyway, so that would win for black, yes. But what actually happened, if we go back up here, then he should have gone queen b2 check first, takes, and there are two moves. There's queen h4 check, king g7, check here, check, king h8. And basically what happens is that here, queen to here, check, king to there, queen checks here, check here, and you get out in the end. Okay, I mean, it's not easy to prove, but let's believe it. But the main line actually goes queen takes f7. If you go to h3, then apparently h4, apparently it's a draw after knight f5 check, though God knows it isn't simple. Pawn equals queen, queen to there check apparently leads to a draw. You go to g4, you go to h4, you go to h3, you go to g2, and you go to h1. And okay, you've stopped the checks. Now it's not easy to prove for a human being that this is winning, but you can imagine it could easily be. And when you ask a table base rather than an engine, then the table base just says ping, it's winning. So anyway, he escaped Amin Tabatabaei in this game by giving the queen was voluntarily rerouted, not to f7 but to h4. So that was one game. Then the next game is Tabatabaei so, and this is some complicated Nimzo. And black wins a pawn. Actually, the interesting thing is I saw this position and I didn't realise that white was a pawn down. That's a bit dopey of me. I mean, if I'd sort of looked for a moment, I should have realised. But the fact is white's position is pretty good. He's got the two bishops in the centre. Engine says it's bad equal. And what happened was queen there, knight e3, rook b8. Now apparently rook e2 might have been a better chance to, but it's not that clear at all. He went bishop b2, takes, here. Well, the important thing is that in this position, Wesley So just thought he was drawing immediately, or perhaps even winning, and he played knight h4. Now the thing is, if this bishop was on b7, okay, you wouldn't play knight h4, or maybe you would actually, it's probably a strong move. But you would see that the f3 square had to be protected, and the only sensible way to do so is by playing rook d3. But because the rook's mission is quite obviously to take that bishop, because that's what the rook is there for, and you know that, you assume that you don't see rook d3 because it's not going to the square it's been assigned to go to, and it happens that rook d3 basically wins. If knight f3 takes here, there is winning because you win the bishop. And what in fact happened was queen g4, queen c3, bishop b4, bishop b2, nice move, very nice move. Rook takes d6, obviously better to go to g5 rather than to g6 and give white a tempo with rook d6. And they reached this position after a4. He actually resigned. I mean, I understand that the outside passed pawn which white can create together with the two bishops is going to win 99.9% of the time, but I'm still a bit surprised he resigned. I mean, he must have been pretty annoyed with himself actually to resign at this point, I think. Okay, so that was that. And I thought then, I went back to Irva and Kramer, the middle game. I looked at it a month ago, 2 columns ago. There are 2 columns a month. And and I looked for a couple of games from their general chapter on defence. The previous time I looked at some defences by Steinitz and some by Emanuel Lasker. Obviously this was written in the middle of the last century, so there weren't the modern guys who can defend. And I just looked in their next chapter and there were 2 classics. Well, there are many classic games, but this is the first of them. The very famous game Capablanca, Marshall, New York, 1918. I couldn't remember. I knew it was New York, I think. This is the game in which Marshall unleashed the Marshall attack or gambit upon Capablanca. And probably when he castled, Capablanca would have known at this moment that something was up, because everybody always played d6 in this position. But he allowed it. Nowadays everybody plays c6, and in fact in modern chess I haven't seen any top guys contest a Marshall recently, because I think that they and their machines that go ping, more splendiferous even than the machines I have that go ping, have decided that it's a draw and that they're just not trying to play it against each other. They're all playing anti-Marshalls. Marshall, they played knight f6, that was his original idea. Rook e1, bishop d6, h3. I don't know if that's a good move. Let's actually turn on Stockfish rather than... Stockfish is... I have downloaded it, and I said last time I was thinking of using it sometimes. Oh, and Bango's my notation. Grrr. By the way, at the moment, if you try to download the latest patch, then you get an error X2EE6, which is bad URL. But I'll be sorting that with ChessBase 2 as well, I hope. So, bishop d6, h3. I don't know if h3 is necessary. d4 it's giving here as well. Presumably, if you go bishop takes check and knight g4, then king g3 wins in that position. Anyway, h3, knight g4, queen f3. You can't go hg4, I think. hg4, you go queen h4, and if f4, you go there and cause a major incident. A very major incident, right. So he went queen f3, queen h4, and Marshall, of course, was hoping for pawn takes knight, but it's not very difficult to see that pawn takes knight is unbelievably dangerous, and d4 is a much more sensible move. You don't need to do anything at this moment yet. And I mean, Capablanca, you know, was a tremendous player, of course, could, when he had to, calculate like a dream. He tended to play positional chess because why would you bother to have tactics when you don't need to? But I think, is that a fair characterization? I don't think I'm producing him, certainly. But anyway, what occurred was that, in fact, pawn takes knight loses. There is this variation. Bishop takes. Have to go queen to there. If g3, queen h5 wins. Now you go here, which is a great move, threatening mate. Pawn to there, queen h2. Can't take the bishop because of bishop h3 and rook e8. And bishop f7 check doesn't help either. Oh, this is a line that I hadn't seen. I didn't notice this was in the chess space file that I downloaded, but there we are. Rook e3 is sort of the best move. Rook to there, queen to there. No bishop f7 check at this point. Bishop f7 check. King h8 simply. And this is the end of the world, is it? Yes, it is. Because queen takes rook gets mated and bishop takes rook. Oh, you're going to get stuck now, you bad-tempered thing. Bishop takes e3. Queen takes e3, queen h1. Checkmate. Right. So, but you go queen d5, bishop g3, queen f7, king h8 doesn't help at all. Rook d3, g3, check here, check, and mate follows. Okay, I mean, that's all very splendid, but actually d4 is an obvious move. You know, you don't take material if you can develop your pieces. I mean, that's what they did in the 19th century. They took everything because it was ungentlemanly not to. Knight f2, and now another excellent move, rook e2. Apparently, bishop d2 is also good. Of course, you don't play queen. Wait a minute. You don't play queen to there. Because of bishop h2 check. You have to give check first, actually. If you go bishop g3, there's queen f7 check. So I should show that. Bishop g3. New variation, 2 question marks. 2 question marks. Queen takes f7 check. Right, but you go there first. King f1. And then you go there. And this is very good for black. You can't go queen f7 now because rook takes f7 is check, and if queen d2 say, you go bishop f5 and you've got too many boys attacking, apparently. It's not obvious to me immediately this is true. I assume you try rook e3 now or something. Then maybe queen f4 check is a move, or just rook e3, rook e8. You've got too many boys attacking. White isn't properly defended. Let's try knight a3. And now we go bishop e1. Is that the move? Bishop e1, exclam. Exclam. Interesting. Okay. So that wasn't that clear, actually. It's actually claiming there's a better move, rook e3. Oh, so maybe he could have taken that, yeah. Rook e3, rook e8. Knight a3 is apparently a mistake. Should go queen e2, should he? Okay, that's really... Queen e2, exclam. Okay, I mean, you know, the engine tells me this, but Capablanca obviously had to do this to the board. What he did was rook e2, which is a much more sensible move, bishop g4, breaking it open, but it's just not working, really. Pawn takes bishop, bishop h2 check, king f1, bishop g3, would have come to the same thing, rook f2. If the king had been on g1, he'd still have got to the same position. And he gives, and now of course you don't recapture because of queen takes c1, you just do that, and this position is not good. Bishop back, queen to there, and now white's king is safe. He's all amongst all his own boys and girls, and it's all okay. Bishop to there, queen to there, and some horrible things happened. Capablanca just started to play chess. Now he's just developing his pieces. If pawn takes pawn, he just play rook takes pawn. So a really brilliant, actually, piece of defensive play by Capablanca. Now, okay, the king is slightly open, but you've got the 2 bishops. You defend every square. I mean, I can't see a square within all of the squares from a1 to e3 are protected by white in that rectangle. And in a little while he won. Okay, so that was one very fine defensive game, and the other fine defensive game, I'm going to check just once more that we are recording. Good thing too, I don't know why I'm being so neurotic. The next one is a game, Rubinstein-Lasker, which Rubinstein defended. And this is, well, I think bishop g5 is supposed to stop c5, so this is a bit, not a great idea really. I don't know if you can go c takes d4 here. Let's again turn on Master Stockfish again. Well, hello Master Stockfish. Bye-bye notation, hello notation. Yeah, well, I've had this position with the moves a3, queen b6 extra, and that was or did a queen b6 castles maybe, because via an a3 English in my other game with Timon years ago. In this case, Rubinstein decided to have his money. I mean, castles, bishop f6, knight d5, bishop d4 takes, bishop to there, bishop takes knight, bishop takes d5, exclam. White's better, but black ought to draw this. I mean, he's got the isolated e-pawn is pretty bad. If the e-pawn was an e3 or a c3, okay, there'd be queen takes queen, but so is black's move. White would have excellent winning chances, but with such a weak pawn, it should be okay for black. Anyway, what happened was he took his pawn, queen g5, takes, knight e3. And here, bishop g2 is actually the right move. Bishop g2, rook to here. Queen checks, queen to there, takes here. Can't go rook g7 because of bishop g6. Question mark. Bishop g6. So you go rook g4, bishop g6. You can try f4, castles queenside. f5, bishop to there. And actually, this is very okay, I think, for black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, why would black be worse? Let's get g6, yeah. King c3, and the game continues. And who knows who's better and why, but it's certainly not a clear position. And in fact, Stockfish is giving equal, which is most unusual for Master Stockfish himself, or his eminence. But castles queenside was played, which looks great. However, the problem is that you go rook c1 and you're ready to play rook c6. Rook e3 is a mistake. King b8, d5, and there's a funny variation which goes bishop d5, rook c h4, exclam, queen h4, knight d5, queen g5, rook c5, rook e5, b6, queen a4, says the engine. Well, this is my analysis actually a long time ago. That's okay. Yeah, okay, that's bad luck. Okay. You can just play queen takes rook with check if you want in this position, and you're going to be much better. Should probably winning queen takes. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. I'm sorry. I thought that the rook was on prisoner h5. But just rook fc1, yeah, excuse me. But anyway, he didn't do any of that. I mean, the main line is, sorry, h4. Let's go to here. And here you have knight e7. Queen, you have to try queen takes e7. Rook takes rook, and white wins material. Very pretty winning blow. So of course after knight e7, if rook takes queen, you play checkmate. Very pretty line. A bit unlucky for black that that doesn't work. Anyway, he played rook e3 Lasker. I wonder if he saw what's going to happen to him. And he should have done. Takes. I suppose he thought pawn takes rook was still maybe be a draw, but there's the beautiful move queen c1. And now white is clearly better. Clear advantage. That beautiful... Again, some slight involuntary rerouting here. You think you're going to recapture, but you play queen c1. Brilliant defensive move. I don't think Tuit's lands myself. I think it's pretty obvious in some ways. And they played some chess, and they got to an ending. Lasker got one pawn back, but after rook a5, not only are you a pawn up, but you've got much the better rook. And Rubinstein calmly, rook a6 is always the right thing to do to restrict the enemy king. Then he poddled up the board, gently moving all his guys up. And here, at some moment, he played a3, which I think that there was some sort of Zugzwang going on. He wanted to be able to play king g6 at some moment. He's managed finally to play a3. And when he plays a3, the thing now is that you're controlling b4, which is disastrous, because it means that when you play king g6, there's no move rook b4. And basically your man gave up at this moment. I mean, he doesn't have to give up, but I've given some rather random line. But it certainly is winning. Brilliant game by Rubinstein. Very good defence, finding queen c1. But again, not that extraordinary, I think, actually. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at these great games. I know them too well to be surprised by them, but they're certainly rather splendid. Right, I'm going to stop now. We're going to stop Mr. Stockfish, and I think when we stop Mr. Stockfish, probably we again lose our notation, don't we? Oh, glory be. Do we or not? Do we lose our notation? Yes, we do. There we are. So, this is the latest one of my columns. This is going to go, I'm actually recording on the 2nd, it's going up on the 3rd, so the next one will be on the 17th, on Sunday the 17th. If you have any ideas, then please do tell me, because, you know, what happens is I sort of cast around and think, what has happened, what would be fun, and if you have ideas, then please tell me. Anyway, so have a good time in between. I hope you enjoyed this today, and I'll see you in a fortnight.